Joining us now to discuss the military action is Richard Nephew, senior research scholar at Columbia's Center on Global Energy Policy. Over the course of his career, he was director for Iran at the National Security Council during the Obama administration from 2011 to 2013.
Richard, thanks so much for joining us this morning. For folks in the tri-state area that are concerned about Iran's capabilities, what do you see as the most likely form of retaliation on their part should they decide to go with that route?
Well, I think there's two things that we should think of right now. First, the Iranians absolutely have the ability to target U.S. bases that are in the Persian Gulf, to target ships that are transiting the Straits of Hormuz, as well as to use terrorist attacks on targets worldwide. So there will be some kind of Iranian retaliation against the United States. We have to see whether or not the Iranians decide to take a softer approach to preserve future options or go really hard. The second big thing is that they're probably going to continue developing their nuclear program. So we don't really know how effective these strikes were in terms of really damaging Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons. There's still a lot of questions about their nuclear material as well as other facilities.
And I know we're going to ask more about that in just a moment, but first back to the homeland for a bit here. Should Americans, bottom line here, Richard, be more concerned, especially here in the tri-state area, in a place like New York City, that perhaps now this area could be targeted?
Well, I think that there is a risk. The Iranians absolutely have demonstrated a capability to use terrorist tactics around the world. At the same time, the United States is well aware of those as well, right? And so we've got FBI teams, local law enforcement teams, and others that are tracking operatives and others who may be trying to engage in these attacks. So what I would say is, yes, there is a risk, but I would also encourage people to go about their normal business. Maybe a little bit additional vigilance, but trust that their security services are looking out for security in the United States.
Someone who knows Iran the way you do, knows the region the way you do, the Trump administration and U.S. military telling very different stories of the effect of these strikes than the one that Iran's state media is telling. So if the U.S. did indeed destroy these three sites, what would that mean globally and across our country?
Well, I would say, two things can be true simultaneously. The strikes could have incapacitated the Fordo facility. Strikes could have incapacitated the Natanz facility. But it also may be true, I think it's likely, that the Iranians still have highly enriched uranium, which could be useful for nuclear weapons purposes as well. So, it really is a question now of what our intelligence picture is, whether or not we can track the material in the country and be able to respond as new sites develop and as we get a picture of what the Iranian nuclear reconstitution effort will look like.
And to follow up on that, Richard, where is the most reliable intelligence about Iran's nuclear program coming from? Is it the United States intelligence services? Is it the Israeli intelligence services? How reliable is that information?
Well, I think both the U.S. and the Israeli intelligence services have a good picture about Iran's nuclear program. But unfortunately, one of the best sources was the public reporting that the International Atomic Energy Agency was making about where Iran's nuclear materials were, all according to treaty obligation. That's not happening now because both the conflict has meant inspectors can't go to sites, and of course the Iranians now are highly allergic to providing any of that kind of information. So our picture in Iran's nuclear program has probably degraded.
And has there been some development? Obviously, this is information that is tightly held, but along the lines of where Iran might be in its uranium enrichment, something that would explain why now, in terms of this particular inflection point, why a strike by the United States military at this point?
So we have some information that suggests that Iran is getting much closer to being able to produce nuclear weapons. This is, again, public. They produce highly enriched uranium they could quickly turn into bomb material probably within 5 to 6 days. But that's been the case for a couple of years now. So it's troubling, it's worrying from a nuclear nonproliferation perspective. It's really troubling, but it doesn't actually show why now. And I think this goes to a real open question, whether or not, as the Israelis have indicated, there's an active weapons development program in place, or whether or not they're worried that one could happen very quickly. That's the thing we don't really know about.
Richard, Nephew, can't thank you enough for joining us and giving us your perspective. We appreciate it. So do our viewers. Thank you. And we will continue to cover this story on our website and streaming platform as well, cbsnewyork.com, for all of our coverage to this point.